just keep pushing damage. So we'll go ahead, we will definitely pay the extra, put it on Swiftspear, attack in, get a little scry on, another Swiftspear is great, we will lightning strike their face to get the prowess damage in. We'll see what opponent pulls out here. Oh, it turns out... intro. Hey friends, welcome to Poor Mana's Magic, a place where the wild cards never rain on our parade. Today we are looking at an updated Boros Humans list with a few key cards from Wilds of Eldraine. Now this is going to be, I think, probably one of the better artisan level kind of decks that you can build out. There are some really strong uncommons, and with some of the synergies between prowess and rolls, Unlucky Witness, Blazing Crescendo, the celebration mechanic off Ash Party Crasher, I think this can go real fast. I've had several turn 4 wins already in the play queue, which I'm excited to share with you. So yeah, let's go one by one through the list and see how this all comes together. So in the 1-drop, we have a lot of the mainstays of a mono red deck. We have Kumano faces Kakkazan, we have Monastery Swiftspear with haste and prowess, and we have Play with Fire, just as a 2 copy. We also have one new addition from Wilds of Eldraine, Monstrous Rage, a 1-red instant that's going to give a target creature +2/+0 until end of turn, and we get to create a monster roll token and attach it to it. Now a monster roll token is again one of the new mechanics. It is a token enchantment aura roll that gives your creature +1/+1 and trample. So this does 2 things for us. It creates a permanent, it gives us a buff, and triggers prowess. And this is going to be really important for a couple of our other cards. We also, finishing out the 1-drop slot, have 2 copies of Unlucky Witness. This is a human citizen, which is going to work well with things like our Coppercoat Vanguard. But when it dies, we get to exile the top 2 cards of our library, and until your next end step, play one of those cards. So this is going to help us just kind of keep our foot on the pedal, put a little bit more gas in our tank. In the 2 slot, we have Coppercoat Vanguard, a must-include for any white-based soldier or human deck. And this is going to give each other human we control +1/+0, and more importantly, Ward 1. Now, with the exception of something like a Shieldred's Edict, Ward 1 on all of your creatures is a very strong aggro inclusion, because it's going to make things like a cut down or a go for the throat or something like that significantly less effective. It's going to delay your opponent's ability to respond to you, and that's going to create a little bit of a tempo advantage in addition to having the aggro aspect. And when you have an aggressive strategy, a lot of creatures, and something like a tempo advantage, that is an excellent equation for success. Next up, we have 2 new cards. We have Return Triumphant, a 1-mana, 1-white sorcery from Wilds of Eldraine. It says return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from our graveyard to the battlefield and create a Young Hero roll token. Now, a Young Hero aura roll is going to give our enchanted creature, whenever this creature attacks, if its toughness is 3 or less, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Most of our creatures are going to have a toughness with 3 or less, so this is essentially a permanent to enter the field and a +1/+1 counter the next time it attacks. Plus, it lets us recur something like a Coppercoat Vanguard, something like our Ash Party Crasher, which we'll get to. Next up, we have the only rare permanent outside of our lands, Spellbook Vendor, a 1-mana, 1-white human peasant with vigilance that says at the beginning of combat on our turn, we can pay 1, and if we do, create a sorcerer roll attached to target creature we control. A sorcerer roll is again a token enchantment or a roll that gives an enchanted creature +1/+1, and whenever this creature attacks, scry 1. This is going to again give us a little bit of gas, and this is really going to create a lot of permanence that can trigger things like our celebration. Next up, we have a couple other really nice artisan inclusions in a mono red type deck. We have Blazing Crescendo, a 1-mana, 1-red instant that gives a creature +3/+1, and we get to exile the top card of our library. We have Lightning Strike, which deals 3 damage to any target. And then, finishing out the 2 slot, we have Ash Party Crasher, a 1-red, 1-white legendary human peasant with haste and a new mechanic called Celebration, which says whenever Ash Party Crasher attacks, if 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under our control, put a +1/+1 counter on Ash. If this comes out on turn 2, say the next turn we put down a Spellbook Vendor, we trigger that, we put a Sorcerer roll, all of a sudden that is an automatic +1/+1 counter on Ash if we attack with it. If we play a Monstrous Rage, or something like a Kumano into a Swiftspear into a Monstrous Rage, you can see how easy it becomes to trigger Ash and how quickly you can start to grow a creature. In the 3-drop, we have a couple other just kind of really nice tool cards. We have Invasion of Regatha, a 2-mana 1 red battle siege that whenever it enters the battlefield deals 4 damage to another target battle or opponent, and 1 damage to up to 1 target creature. And then if we flip it by taking off 5 battle counters, we get Disciples of the Inferno, a human monk with prowess that says if a non-creature source we control would deal damage to a creature battle or opponent, it deals that much damage +2 instead. If we get to flip Invasion of Regatha, all of a sudden we can start doing 4 damage with Play with Fire, 5 damage with Lightning Strikes, or even, 6 damage with another Invasion. And then rounding out our permanents in the 3-drop, we have Sunrise Cavalier, an excellent Boros inclusion. It's a human knight for 1 mana, 1 red and 1 white, with trample and haste. And if it's neither day nor night, it becomes day as Sunrise Cavalier enters the battlefield. And whenever day becomes night or vice versa, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature you control. It doesn't have to be Sunrise Cavalier. This is just a little bit of a way to create a fast threat if we've been board wiped or if a couple of our creatures have been destroyed. Then looking at the mana base, we are only running 20 lands because we have a very, very low curve, mostly 1 and 2 drops. We have 8 plains because we only have 2 drops, no 1 drops with white. We have 10 mountains, and this is completely optional, we have 2 new creature lands called Restless Bivouac. Now this is going to enter the battlefield tapped. It can add either red or white mana, and you can pay 1 red and 1 white to have this become a 2/2 red and white Ox creature. It remains a land, and when it attacks, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So ideally, you'd like to have 4 lands on the battlefield so that you can pay 3, trigger this, have this attack in, start distributing some +1/+1 counters, and go from there. I think in any sort of aggro build, your main issue is going to be when your opponent draws 2 or 3 answers, and all of a sudden you're left empty-handed with no way of really drawing through your deck or doing any card filtering. And when you get to that turn 3, 4, 5, it's really, really helpful to have something else on the board that your opponent needs to worry about, something like this Restless Bivouac. So, if you don't have any wildcards to craft this at all, you can very easily leave out the 2 copies of Restless Bivouac or the 2 copies of Spellbook Vendor. You can add in something else like maybe 1 more Unlucky Witness and another Blazing Crescendo for a little bit more of that card filtering and card advantage. This is a deck that really doesn't require any of your wildcards, but can still grind you up through either the ladder or through some of the events if that is what you are focusing on. So yeah, let's hop into the standard play queue and see how this does for us. Okay, on the play against Noob, we got a 1, 2, 3. Wow, this is a pretty great rollout. We can do Kumano into Coppercoat into Swiftspear Monstrous Rage. Sure, let's go for that. Kumano it is. Get our fluffy Aloha pup back. Up against a Karn with the plain card backs. Forest comes down. Rot Priest comes out. Okay. So Rot Priest isn't the worst. Depending on what comes out next, if it's a blue mana and they're playing some Ivy shenanigans, we might be in trouble. Looks like it's just Selesnya Toxic. I don't like that at all. We'll go ahead and let them do that. Next turn we will have 3 creatures on the board, or we'll be able to Lightning Strike and have 2 creatures out. I think this is going to be a pure race, and I am okay with that. We have some really, really nice tools at our disposal. So we'll go ahead, we will attack in for 6, see what they want to do about that. If they ever tap out, we can take out the Rot Priest. 6 damage, down to 13. We have them down to 10 next turn. We could also potentially just play out a Swiftspear here. I'm not sure which way to go here. If we drew another red mana, we would definitely have lethal next turn. Trying to think of a way to do this turn, though. We could do Monstrous Rage, buff up some creature to... It adds +3, so it'd be 6, 9. We'd be 1 short. If we play out a Monastery Swiftspear here, that's 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12 with the Prowess next turn. So either way, I think we play this out. We're 1 mana short, but I think Lightning Strike gives us the most adaptability here. So I think we go face. Botanical Plaza, not what they wanted to see off the top there, for sure. I think they wanted to double spell. Try to pull equal to us. Toxic Scorpion, yeah, that's not a big deal. They do tap out, though, now for Rot Priest. I assume Rot Priest is attacking? Yeah. Okay. So at this point, we're going face. We're going to play Monstrous Rage. We're going to trample over whatever they have. Blazing Crescendo? Ooh. So at this point, we could Blazing Crescendo to try to find another spell. But I think in this case... Oof, what do we do here? What do we do? So we could come in with Swiftspear, which is going to be 2. We'll deal 5 damage no matter what they block. Down to 5. Next turn, we can Monstrous Rage, trample over. That might actually be better. So Swiftspear comes down. That's 2, 5, 8 damage coming in. They block Coppercoat, which leaves a Kumano and a Swiftspear on the board. So 2 and 3. The next turn, we'd be able to give either of them, get either of them up to 5. I think this is the right call. So we're going to have to sacrifice our Vanguard and hope they don't put something big and monstrous down, which they probably will. But at least this way, we get one of their cards, their creatures, their blockers off the board, and we have the ability. We have the ability to get through. We're only at 2 toxic. If they put down a bloated Contaminator, that's probably the worst thing we want to see. Yeah. They do hold back. So there might be something to attacking. Does this get first strike? No, of course not. It is instant speed, so I think we attack in. We trade off for 1 or both creatures here. And if they block the wrong one, or if they don't double block, we still have lethal, so what am I even talking about? They have to double block. Really? So in this case, we could Monstrous Rage, take out the Contaminator, which is the bigger blocker, or we could Crescendo this turn, take out the Contaminator and the Rot Priest with the Prowess into another Monstrous roll. I like this better, because this still gives us another opportunity to get in for lethal. We have 2 other Swiftspears at the ready here. Another Contaminator is fine. Unlucky Witness is rough. Do we keep populating the board now? So we're going to lose a Monstrous Rage. There is a world here where if they don't have a fight spell, we could double Monstrous Rage. No, that's not going to do it, because we can't do it the same turn. I think we have to go for a slightly wider strategy. We will lose one of our Monstrous Rages. I am making a huge assumption that they do not have a kill spell in hand. They have a fight spell. Unbelievable. Okay. And we get a poison counter. Do they have another one? The only thing we've been missing to close this game out is a red source. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So now we can put out another Swiftspear. Do they have a... Oh, they do. Good gravy. So the 1 mana up tells me that they have the 1 green indestructible Gain 2 life spell. And if that's the case, we should put out a Lucky Witness instead. Which I think is what we're going to do. We're just going to hold back. We're going to wait. We're going to bide our time. We are right now a wolf circling a very alive but very trapped prey animal. We just have to make sure that we don't give up our advantage. A couple small creatures on the board is fine. They attack with Contaminator, they don't. And another, oh man, now we're drawing too many lands. So what do we do here? So Defector Might can't block. We can push through a significant amount of damage. We could attack with Unlucky Witness, see what we get off the top. Oh man. So they're going to be up to 7. We're attacking in with 1, 2, 3. These will go up to 2, 2, so 5. They can only block 2 of them. We can give that +3, so 2, 7, 8, technically coming in for lethal, but they're going to give something like a Bloated Contaminator indestructible. I think we attack with the Unlucky Witness, see what they want to do with that. Unlucky Witness isn't doing a whole lot for us right now. If we maybe pull a Lightning Strike or something like that off the top, we're in a much better position. We are seemingly taking out a blocker of theirs, which seems suspect. Yeah, that's fine. So the Might can't block. We will... We get double lands off the top. Okay, getting a little lucky, a little unlucky with our draws here. But still within striking distance, just waiting for our opening. Audacity is fine. I'm more than happy to have them attack in. We just have to try to get to a point where we can deal 7 damage. Interesting play from opponent. Very interesting play. We'll see if they want to burn. Complete Devotion. So they still have one more, so that'll put it up to 3/3. So we can trade at best here now. Ooh, yeah, wasn't expecting a card. I really just thought they had the 1 mana green. Oh, we've probably made a small error here. So do we care if we trade off for Infector? Because that kind of takes away our advantage here. Yeah, I think unfortunately... No, because we're still in a position to possibly pull through. We'll just let this happen. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but sometimes you have to eat your mistakes. So we only take 1 Toxic. We also have a lot of burn off the top that could get us through here. Ash Party Crasher, not the worst. Unfortunately, lands do not trigger Ash, or else that could be kind of interesting. We're still going to hold these both open. We're still waiting. We're only at 4 Toxic, 15 health. Opponent... We really want opponent to tap out here. But if they have another Contaminator, if they have another big blocker, we're still going to be in trouble. Now, potentially something that could help is a burn spell, although they're keeping Skrelv back now, which is interesting. So we'll take another Toxic. Skrelv is going to give something protection. Give the Contaminator... Oh my gosh, your 3rd Contaminator. Sometimes your opponents just draw all the cards against you, don't they? 3 Contaminators. They would have been dead if they didn't draw the 2nd. Now they drew the 3rd. And that is pretty brutal for us. Because now they just have a wall of blockers. Kumano, not too shabby. So how... Actually, how could that work now? So Contaminator is going to be huge. We drop a Kumano. Do we have to... Are we now at a point that we have to start attacking? So Ash triggers when it attacks. So we would have to play Monstrous Rage down first. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Toxic coming back on the next swing. They also have that gain 2 life, so we'll say effectively they're at 6. That Contaminator is rough, and every turn that we take now, they're going to find another thing to put down, potentially. I think we have to keep... I really do think we have to just bide our time here. We're really hoping for another permanent that we can play down, or just a Lightning Strike. Lightning Strike would probably allow us to get through here, because if we give something Trample, they're attacking in with the Skrelv again. This is awesome. I think we let this go. Unless they have triple Proliferate, this might be the opening we've been waiting for. Return Triumphant. Now that is an incredible find. So Return Triumphant is going to bring back... What do we want to bring back? Maybe a Swiftspear? Bring back a Swiftspear. Let's see if we can pull this off. Put down a Swiftspear. We will grow our other Swiftspear. We have Monstrous Rage in hand. We will attack with all three of our creatures. See if we can maybe find a way to pull this off. So if they try to block outright, we'll Monstrous Rage the existing Swiftspear, and we'll see what happens. Maybe we pull it out, maybe we don't, but I think we played this as well as we could have, with the exception of the Skrelv. And this is why sometimes it pays to be patient. We pull it out! We sat through so many empty land draws, especially that double mountain off of our Unlucky Witness exile. We waited until we had an opening, and we took our advantage where we could find it. An excellent game played by us, a very good game for our opponent Noob. On to the next one. Okay, on the play against Rovek, we have turn 1, we have turn 2, we have some other stuff to do. I like this. We'll go ahead and keep it, and we'll see what we are up against. Tracks of Face usually means Toxic or Domain. We see a Triumph come down, or that's probably what we're dealing with. Nope, Mono Black. Awesome. So I am going to fire off the play with fire. I want to set up our second turn. Unlucky Witness, not a terrible follow-up, but it's not the one I think I want here. We do have other things to do with our time, but I think drawing into something better, like a Vendor, is going to be good. Hopefully we dodge Cut Down, which we do. Do we dodge some more removal here? Virtue of Persistence, maybe? Looks like maybe what's going to happen. Nope, nothing there. Ash Party Crasher comes onto our hand. Now, we do have Ash into the Aura roll we can generate from Vendor. It looks like they are going to take out our Vendor. I don't know why they would wait so long for that. And I don't know if that's even the right call. Vendor does enable a lot of stuff down the road, but the Party Crasher can get a little bit bigger. It might be the only thing that could stand up to something like a Graveyard Trespasser or a Scavenger. We're going to have to fire off our Lightning Strike this turn. Luckily we can double spell, which is pretty great. We'll do that. Get the Scavengers, attack in for 3. But we are kind of hurting for things to do. Double spelling is great. Going up against Mono Black, it's curving out. It's pretty rough. Cavalier is pretty nice off the top, but unfortunately we just have to hit the Sunslayer. First striking Death Toucher, a pretty big problem for us. Depending what comes down next, we might have an okay chance at it. Gig's Command is not what we want to see. Invasion of Regatha into Cavalier. I say we keep Cavalier out there, see what they want to do. We win with a 1 mana spell off the top. If we grab our other play with fire, we're looking pretty good. We can take care of Liliana here. Monstrous Rage, unfortunately not going to do it, but we can... Oh, it's 1 target creature, not 1 target creature and Planeswalker. No! That's okay. We have some hasty creatures in this deck. We have a Monstrous Rage at the ready, and we have Burn. We're not in the worst position here. Opponent needs to gain some life, which somehow they have the card to do. We're going to create a little lifelinky vampire. This is the turn for us to finish this off. Perfectly okay dropping a Monstrous Rage here. Probably wasn't going to win us the game. They dropped their own Shieldred, which seems strange. And this is why you play Burn. You play it so that when you meet a Golgari mid-range deck, you can kill it. Alright. Presuming they don't have any weird life gain, that'll be all she wrote. GG's Rovek. Golgari mid-range falling to our Boros Humans Burn deck. On to the next one. Okay, on the draw against Fregno Buffo. It's a fun name. No turn 1, no white mana. We have our Rages and a Crescendo, but no real creature to buff them with, so this is a mulligan. Much, much better. This is phenomenal. We'll go ahead and drop the Witness, I think. Although, if we play down Ash the next turn, if we draw into another playable, we might be able to celebrate, but there's also the option here of Monastery Swiftspear holding open Lightning Strike on turn 2. Turn 3, if we draw another red source, going Ash into Witness to buff up Party Crasher. Maybe Invasion is what we want to drop here, although turn 3 Invasion, we hold open our Lightning Strike. Ooh, this is tough. There are several lines of play here, and the only way of really picking one is taking a guess as to what our opponent is playing. We see a Chandra. We assume it's a red deck, and if that's the case, we're going to want some more card draw and a bigger body. I think, yeah, we go ahead and drop Invasion of Regatha here. We'll see if I eat my words. Fregno Buffo on play with an island. We do draw third land. It is not a red source. We'll go ahead and play out a Swiftspear. It looks like they have a Consider at the ready. Yep. They'll go ahead, Surveil, and draw. Next turn, we can put down a Party Crasher or hold up a Lightning Strike. I'm assuming this is going to be some sort of mono blue or fairy deck, probably with some of those flash fairies. 2 blue, no playable. Classic. Classic. We do draw a red now, though, so I think we hold up Lightning Strike and we go for our Ash into Unlucky Witness next turn. And this way we can also respond to some sort of blocker. At the end of their turn, see if they want to counter that spell, and then we'll get a free run. Consider, not too bad. Looks like they're trying to set up for whatever they want to do. They took a card off the top, never a good sign. Plays out the third island. A little unfortunate for us that they didn't play something down there. They're definitely playing the slow game. A lot of lands from us, and if they put down something big here, that's bad news. I think we have to get some cards out of their hand, but also, if we play it extra patient, what happens? If we just fire off a Lightning Strike here. I don't know if I like that, though. Because Ash is still going to be smaller than a Djinn. I think we have to go for it this turn. I think we have to play down Ash into Unlucky Witness and try to create a little bit of size this turn. Because a Djinn essentially shuts down our deck. We don't have any deal 4 damage spells unless we get a Rage off the top. And even then, we're still going to be trading off one of our creatures. So we'll play down a Witness. We will buff up Ash unless it gets bounced, which I have a sneaking suspicion they might do. Fading Hope on the Ash. Yep, that's fine. They could still come in with a Flash Fairy, but if I'm remembering correctly, it is a 2/1. So we'll go ahead, attack in. Nope, okay, so no 2-mana spell that isn't a counter. Ah, they were waiting on a red source. Okay. So in that case, very nice. So Lightning Strike could be really helpful here. Triumphant Return is extra helpful. We will go ahead and play down Party Crasher. We know they have a counterspell or something at the ready. We're going to go ahead and attack in with Ash here. And also with Unlucky Witness. I kind of want to just draw another card off Unlucky Witness. Thank you. That feels good. We'll go ahead, we'll grab that card off the top. See what we have to deal with. Another Lightning Strike at the ready. So we do get that until the next end step. So let's go... Oh, which was that. Oh my gosh. I keep reading next as the next turn, but this is specifically the next end step, meaning that turn. I gotta not forget about these things and misread them. Pretty reckless for me that turn. We'll see what they have for Electrostatic Infantry. If they try to play something big, we could go for the kill here. I think we have to... let this happen. Let them get in for 3. It feels like they do have something off the top here. We're going to go ahead and fire off a Lightning Strike. Try to push some damage. Get them to counter this so that we have an open... No, they are very patient. Very patient. Well done, opponent. So we'll go ahead and return Triumphant to get our Unlucky Witness back. We'll get some prowess going. We will fire off our Play with Fire this turn as well. Negate. That's interesting. Okay. So we'll see what we have sitting on top of our deck. We'll push down 7 damage. That feels pretty good to me. 5 in the hole. And now if opponent wants to attack, they're going to be in a pretty precarious situation. Haughty Djinn comes down. That's okay. Are they going to attack? They do attack. So they could still have a negate at the ready. They could have a lot of things at the ready. But they could have a Fading Hope. The question is, do we want to fire this off now so that we have more information? Because what we don't want to happen... I think blue also has 1 mana spell that untaps. Are they going to be playing that cantrip? They didn't have any the last time. We'll see if they have a negate in hand. Fire this off at face. We'll see if... Yep, they have something in response here. We have 4 mana to pay for something. So if it's a... Ooh, interesting. Are they going to bounce something? We have to go for... Gotta go for the kill here. They do have the shore up! Yep, that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it. Well, we probably would have lost that one anyways. They would have had the kill on the back of a Trampley, Electrostatic Infantry, and a Haughty Djinn. Sometimes you can play something exactly right, and your opponent is going to have that one card, the only card, that could lose you the game. And they just happen to have that card this one. Good game, Fregno Buffo. On to the next one. Okay, on the play, we have Kumano into Vendor, into Cavalier. Love it. Pretty good rollout. We also have Unlucky Witness if we wanted to lead with that instead. I think we do set up for our Vendor though. So we'll go Kumano. We'll make Vendor a 3/3 next turn with the buff off Kumano. That way it'll be out of reach of cut down. Although, it does look like we're going to play a white or white-green candy deck, or maybe even an Abzan deck. Very excited about this. I'm a big fan of the candy artifact, or the food artifact decks. I think they're the kind of combo that I wish there was more of. Okay, Vendor comes down. We won't be able to pay for the Sorcerer roll this turn, but Kumano's going to flip. We could play an Unlucky Witness, potentially put a Sorcerer roll. Oops, yeah, that'll work for them. Put a Sorcerer roll on our Kumano. That'll put it out of reach of a double block. We could also just attack in with a Sunrise Cavalier. I kind of like the idea of building up a little bit more here. Go ahead, we will put the Sorcerer roll on our Kumano. We'll attack in, we'll get the Scry. Set ourselves up for next turn. Did not need a 5th land. So glad we did that. They can block each just to chump and buy themselves more time. But it looks like they're going to keep open maybe a bargain type situation here. We'll see. Inspiring Overseer. Okay, so I maybe was completely wrong. This looks more like a Lifegain deck. So we now have a Sunrise Cavalier into a Monstrous Rage at instant speed. I'm going to go ahead and attack all. I will decline this turn. We'll attack in. We'll get our Scry on. Swiftspear is pretty good, especially on the back of a Lightning Strike or Monstrous Rage. Opponent might try double blocking something here, which would be a big mistake. If they block Unlucky Witness, we get to play down Swiftspear. Double blocking Etching. Okay, I don't mind that so much. So potentially 3 damage. Unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. And we also give it Trample. Boom. Okay, so exile a couple cards, get some damage. We have Spell Spear into Lightning Strike this next turn. And we will also be able to attach a Sorcerer roll. They'll gain 3 life, draw a card. But I really like how we're looking right now. We just keep pushing damage. So we'll go ahead. We will definitely pay the extra, put it on Swiftspear. Attack in. Get a little Scry on. Another Swiftspear is great. We will Lightning Strike their face to get the prowess damage in. And we'll see what opponent pulls out here. Oh, it turns out we had lethal. My bad. GG's. Okay, on the play against Blitkin. No turn 1 play, solid turn 2 plays. We'll hold open a mountain, try to scare our opponent into thinking maybe we have something. Next turn we'll go into a Vanguard. Turn 3 we can go Invasion of Regatha. We'll see what comes down. It might be worth it to disrupt with a Lightning Strike. Farmhand, perfect target for Regatha. We'll go ahead, play out a mountain, play out the invasion, deal 4 to face. I think I still like this play. I don't want them to use the farmhand for anything. We can attack there. I'm actually going to go ahead and attack the battle, because now we can play out Swiftspear, Lightning Strike the battle, flip it, have a little bit extra damage coming in. Life draw. Okay, Monstrous Rage, pretty nice. So do we want to instead... Monstrous Rage creates a roll and gives the creature +1/+1. So our Vanguard would be a 5/3 attacking in. So I think we actually go in with Swiftspear here. We can attack... Let's see, how do we want to do this? I think we attack Invasion of Regatha with our Vanguard. Go face with Swiftspear. If they block the Vanguard, yep, we can surprise them with Monstrous Rage, get a little extra damage through with Swiftspear, still flip Regatha. Okay, that was well planned out. Good execution on our end. And what we really want to do here is miss some board wipe. If there's a board wipe, we're very sad. If there's a Wandering Emperor, we're very sad. But if we draw a land, we have 10 damage in Lightning Strikes at the ready, plus 3 creatures on the board, 2 of which have, say it with me, Ward. So this is perfect. We don't want to attack with the Coppercoat, we just want to attack with the Swiftspear and the Disciples of the Inferno. They can't do anything about those 2. At least with Stroke of Midnight. Now what is this? What is this madness? So I was expecting a Wandering Emperor. That is not what they ended up having. We'll go ahead and get our damage in while we can. Push 5 more damage to face. Throw our creatures. We do lose that, but we get another human, which is actually pretty nice. And opponent goes ahead and calls it quits. GG's, Blitkin. On to the next one. Stroke of Midnight. This is actually a really interesting card. Destroys any target non-land permanent at instant speed and gives the controller a 1/1. That's not a bad switch. We might have to look into this card as a potential uncommon inclusion in some of our other decks. Okay, on the play against Masada. This is a really, really lovely hand. We have Swiftspears into Vanguard, into Cavalier, and Witness. Yeah, this is about as good as it gets. We do want to get into some of our instants and non-creature spells, just so we can start triggering some prowess, start creating some roll tokens, doing some damage. But there we go. I think for now, we are set up pretty well. We'll go ahead and attack in with our Swiftspear. Opponent playing a Stalwart. This feels like a token deck, token into ramp, but maybe it's just a mono green ramp. Maybe it's Simic. Maybe it's Elves. Elf deck. Not expecting that. Okay. So Llanowar Stalker comes out. That's a lot of that's a lot of damage coming through. However, we have a Swiftspear. So what we want to do here is attack in with everyone. Play with fire, the Leaf Crowned Visionary when they block with the Stalker. Have a nice little 2-for-1 there. Yep, that's fine. We will pump up our Swiftspears with the Prowess, take out their Mana Lord, take out their secondary creatures, do 6 to face, put them at a severe disadvantage. We are dominating the board state. Hopefully there aren't too many big creatures they'll have. Battle Greeters is going to be some life gain. We have a Sunrise Cavalier that's going to keep pushing through damage. Iconoclast is really, really nice. That 3 power is going to be a small issue for us. However, the Monstrous Rage is probably going to do some damage itself. So if we wanted to keep the pressure on, we could attack all, put down a Cavalier. That would be putting down 9 damage to face. They would block probably Cavalier, maybe. Although Cavalier would be pumped. So 4, 5, 6, 10. 10 damage coming through. They'd probably block the Cavalier, keep the Vanguard on the board. And then next turn we can Monstrous Rage, catch them out with our Swiftspears. I kind of like that idea. So we'll see what they want to do. We'll see if they go after Vanguard or Cavalier. I think it would be a big mistake to trade off for Vanguard, and that's totally fine with me. So this puts them into striking range. We have 1 Trampler. We can make a 2nd Trampler with Monstrous Rage. Kodama is a pretty big body, but I don't know if it'll be big enough. Ooh, Spellbook Vendor. That's nice. Okay. So we have another creature there. I like the idea of declining this, attacking in with all our creatures. If they play this wrong, we have lethal. They might try blocking one of our Swiftspears. And if we go Monstrous Rage onto Swiftspear, we can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. We'll see if they have a 1-mana spell at the ready. It doesn't appear they do. And we'll push through some damage. GG, Masada. On to the next one. Okay, on the draw against Yum Yum Yuck Yuck. Or Jum Jum Juk Juk. Probably Yum. We have only red permanents to play, which is great. We can Kumano into double Spellspear. Get Kumano into Monastery Swiftspear, not Spellspear. Double spell, turn 2, Swiftspear into Monstrous Rage or Lightning Strike. A lot of options. Not my favorite to see a black come down, but in the current meta, that's, I would say, 70% of the games. We'll play out Kumano. We'll deal 1 damage. We'll try to get a Swiftspear a little bit higher. Ooh, don't like that. At least we can double strike here. Swiftspear still in cut down range, obnoxiously. Monstrous Rage is an instant, so I think we go ahead. Oh, okay, no cut down from opponents, so we'll go ahead and play out. We did miss out on 1 damage, but it was more important to me to not get Swiftspear cut down. We'll have 3 permanents next turn. We can Lightning Strike and Monstrous Rage. Virtue of Persistence. What a card. Sunrise Cavalier is a pretty sweet find, though. So we'll get in for 6 here. See what opponent wants to do about that. We can still double spell any given turn. So, yep, okay. Lord Skitter comes out. Not going to be a problem for us. The rat can't block. The rat token, that is. It looks like that's kind of all they have. At this point, I think Ash Party Crasher into Lightning Strike is the way to go. Trigger Prowess, attack in with 9. Pretty sick. Get opponent down to 4. We have a really strong board and 3, essentially, extra damage in Monstrous Rage for any one of our creatures at instant speed. I'm liking where we're at. They'd have to wipe the board here. Siege the Mirror. Okay, well, I could see a Shieldred coming down. That's not going to help them. I don't think there's any creature here. Although it could be any card. Fair play. The End on... And that doesn't actually matter. They can take one of our creatures, but I hate the End just enough. I think I might early GG them. Unless they have another cut down, but even then, it's not going to matter. We can respond with our instant speed monster roll token, and that's going to be that. Now, I'm really against the End, because no matter what you play out... Okay, there we go. GG's, yum yum yuck yuck. I don't like your mono-black approach, but I do like a good game. Now, the End, to me, is one of the cards that takes away kind of the basic fun of Magic. The idea behind Magic is that you get to put together a deck that you're excited about, that you think has some interesting synergies, or has specific cards that draw you to the game. And the End essentially takes away the most fun aspect of that, which is playing the kind of card you want to play, especially in, for instance, a play queue like this, where you're just trying to make something work with the cards you have. Running a card like this is, I don't know, it's... Some people might call me a little jaded, but I think a card like this is a competitive-only play queue inclusion. So for anyone out there who might agree, just, you know, try to make sure your opponents get to have as much fun as you would want to have. Anywho, on to the next one. Okay, and with that, we're going to call it a day for our Boros Humans Rolls Burn deck. I am very impressed with how well this deck functions. It has just enough card draw, top card exile to keep your foot on the pedal. It has kind of the right cards at the right time. It has some burn, play with fire, lightning strike, invasion of Regatha to push that extra damage. It is consistently pulling through the threat of lethal on turn 4, which is exactly what you'd normally expect to see out of a top tier burn or aggro deck. I don't know how we stumbled our way into this one, but somehow Boros got good. Now, in terms of changes I would make, the only one that needs to be made is to take out these wretched tap lands. We didn't use them once in any of our games. It didn't really come in handy at all. A lot of the control decks that we faced, or at least the mid-range grindy decks we faced, we were really just looking for that extra 1 or 2 points of damage, and we weren't really having our creatures removed a whole lot. Coppercoat Vanguard was really coming through, giving our other creatures Ward 1. We were able to overcome some pretty outweighted opposing creatures with things like Blazing Crescendo and Monstrous Rage on the back of Prowess. Ash Party Crasher really did present some nice threats alongside kind of the power of a Sunrise Cavalier. This is a really nice deck. If you had some extra cards to craft, I think Spellbook Vendor might be an extra one of, maybe, but I don't even think it's that necessary. If anything else, you're going to want to be able to find more burn off the top. So I think maybe even taking out one of the Return Triumphants and putting in another Play with Fire, taking out maybe an Ash Party Crasher, throwing in another Sunrise Cavalier might be good. But as it is, this is solid. This is a good place for it. So quickly to recap, we have our 4 copies of Kumano Faces Kakkazan. We have 4 copies of Monastery Swiftspear, 4 Monstrous Rages, 2 Play with Fires, 2 Unlucky Witnesses. And the key on this card, by the way, is to treat this like card draw. Yes, it is a body. Sometimes it'll block, sometimes it'll be attacking. Most of the time, you're going to want to just throw this card blindly into an opposing blocker and get that extra 2 cards off the top of your library to keep your foot on the pedal. Just don't make the mistake that I have made before and think that you are going to get those 2 cards until the next turn's end step. It is in fact the end step of the current turn. So if you don't play the cards, the turn that Unlucky Witness dies, you are going to lose them. Either way, still a really nice thing to have In the 2 slot, we have our Coppercoat Vanguards, an absolutely necessary part of this deck. We have Return Triumphant, which is kind of incredible. A lot of synergies in this deck. We can bring anything back, any of our creatures, and we get to kind of buff it up with those Young Hero Roll tokens. So we get to make our Ash Party Crasher an immediate 3/3 win attacks, or our Monastery Swiftspear an immediate 2/3 win attacks. This is really nice, and because we have so many hasty boys that can come out of our graveyard, this is a surprise off the topper. We also have the 2 copies of Spellbook Vendor, a really nice enabler that's going to create some roll tokens, that's going to enable our celebration, that's going to buff up things like a Swiftspear and get past some of those lower 2/2 attackers. We have Blazing Crescendo, a really nice trick that's going to push some damage and give us a little bit more card selection. Lightning Strike going face, always great. Ash Party Crasher, a very surprising hasty 2/2 that really does have some nice upside. And in a deck like this with so many 1 and 2 drops, Ash can really come alive. And then rounding it out in the 3 slot, we have 4 copies of Invasion of Urgatha. Does 4 damage to face, can pick off a 1 toughness creature, pretty good. And then 2 copies of Sunrise Cavalier, a tramply, hasty finisher that really does feel very, very good in this deck. So, I hope you enjoyed the gameplay and the deck building as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment, as it really helps my small channel grow. Let me know if there are any other kinds of decks that you would like to see built. I really am liking the idea of doing at least 1 or 2 viewer requests per week. So feel free to drop me a line, leave a comment. I'll keep an eye out on what comes through, and I will see you next time.